Mm. Cosmic crisp, delicious. So I call it the world's best apple. It's a play on Honeycrisp, an empire developed by Washington State University. What's up, consciousness critters? Today, got a special treat for you. Had one of the most in-depth conversations I've had so far on the podcast to date. And this is just a sneak peek. So imagine, in the grand scheme of things, how beautiful the whole picture can be. Imagine how beautiful the whole picture can be. The aware character, remembering your power within, the kindness within, a journey to freedom. It's available on Prime, and a it's an author who spoke from the world stage and to the world seemed like he had it all together. Talked about kindness, compassion. Inside, he wasn't whole. He was at peace. So in the trailer, it says, freedom. Think about that for a minute. How far would you go to be completely free? He has a total breakdown, and I won't ruin it for those of you that wish to see it. Trailers in the description down below. He travels all the way to India and starts interviewing all these different people because he has the intellectual part, but he wishes to have the connection, the internal balance, the duality complete. And the energy was completely different. The guy he spoke with said, it's a matter of life and death. You have to go. You have to go. And he came back and he was completely changed. And a couple takeaways is there's, I'll paraphrase. It's not the trophies that determine the beauty in the spiritual warrior, it's the scars. And it's because of the scars that make you so much more beautiful. It's that transformation process, right? It's the transformation process. There's a song that I used to listen to. The scars remind me that the past is real. The scars, you wear them on your body. They're like a work of art to show the experiences that you've gone through and the wisdom that you've gained and learned. So prepare to have your perception changed, your outlook completely obliterated, unlearn what you have learned, and take on and just be open and receptive. We talk about everything from shamanism to psychics to what the different dimensions are to releasing and deprogramming what has been manipulated into our lower mind, what Jeremy calls the ego, our lower desires, what religion calls the devil, right? And the separation or the illusion of separation, because there's no such thing as separation. There's only different perspectives within God's creation. We talk about turning off the thinking mind. These are all biblical concepts that the character Jesus talked about, or Miyamoto Musashi, who talked about having no mind, just being an endless stream of consciousness. Topics that I haven't really seen much in my own journey, but I also started going more within too. That's why I stopped reading for a bit. Because I said, if I'm going to write a book, it has to be authentic, right? Because if you're constantly consuming, it stunts your own creation, right? It throws an imbalance. So enjoy this beautiful conversation with Sparkles at Alchemist. Remember your power within. Stay open-minded if you dare to stay tuned and check out the whole spectrum that we discuss and discern within this beautiful realm. There's 2 links. It got split up. We'll explain that in there, but I shared a bit more of my story. The in-depth discussions that we had will be forever legendary, will ripple throughout all of time, even though we've been discussed time as it's construct, right? It's just moment to moment, flipping the pages, essentially. So, without further ado, here's an intro to the new you. Enjoy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for consideration. Let's light up the spark. And remember, you are the one. Go within. And until next time, remember your power within.
Specks of dust on this planet and that there's bad aliens and all this stuff. Like, you put the fear of everything and everybody, and well, they won't stand up. You show them Tiananmen Square, you show them all these things that were all like movie sets almost, but real, but like, orchestrated purposefully to keep people in fear. Well, now you've got people that won't stand up for nothing, no matter what.
This is the real movie. This is the real show.
This is the movie.
This is the show and tell, because the real movie is a motion picture in like the God's playground is the universe. People
Well, this
go
is a
to
big
people
hologram.
go to theaters because they want to be entertained. Is life not entertaining enough?
Well, it is for me, but to the other people that hold fear and they're all programmed and took all the information in, like how we were supposed to believe and think, it's not fun at all. It's like everything's bad, everything's happening to us, everything's like, oh my God, these are bad people, those are bad people. And I understand that to a point. But when you evolve, you start to be like, no, every single thing is happening exactly the way it needs to wake up humanity. Because this is all about waking up humanity and saying, you chose to drop down, you don't remember, but now we're going to push you out.
Yeah.
Right? So then you push everybody to the most deepest struggle they could possibly have. It's going to get really chaotic. It's going to get, but not to fear that. Mostly internal going to be chaotic, but the outer world's going to collapse in a lot of pieces together, because that's the only way humanity will get pushed to reach for something else and look further. It's really deep. It's really profound, but you'd be surprised how many people actually come through. You might have people in your life that you feel are like not coming anywhere. I know everybody in their life does. Everybody talks to me on my community
There's
calls.
that split, that bifurcation. There's some people that I've thought about reconnecting with, but then the longer I sit with it, well, that's part of my past. Why dig up things that should just be left alone? You
Right.
know what I
So
mean? It
like less
has
is
to be
more.
mutual and symbiotic. There has to be an energetic exchange. Without
In a
that,
way, right? Unless you're guiding
well,
somebody. So if you're
balance.
guiding somebody, yeah.
There
But
has
if
to be
you're,
balance. But if someone
yeah.
has not had any contact, this was something that I've wrestled with on my own journey. That I
Well, let's talk about that.
kept reconnecting with people of the past,
Yeah.
and it just becomes easier.
So
There's really no need to do that, is there?
no. So like I love this because I on community calls I've been talking about this for years, because it's a big place, because humanity's been conditioned to have friends and to have, like, find love outside themselves and do all these things and have connection,
Mhm.
which is awesome. but it's all 3D, it's all manipulated, it's all a mess, and everybody's just judging or like toxic soup, but they don't realize it. And I mean that with the most beautiful love. I was too. We all were, right? But when you get out there and you get interesting, you start getting on your journey and you feel like maybe you want to reconnect, where's that person on their journey? That's number one. Like, where's that person on their journey? And like, where did the want to reconnect come from is where I'll say to look too, because a lot of times the mind just starts pulling out all this stuff. And realistically, it's like when we're raising our frequency, let's just make it simple. When we're raising our frequency and we're working hard on that, and every day we're doing stuff to elevate and then want to hold a higher frequency, okay, which is vibration. So if we're doing that, and we choose consciously to want to go hang out with somebody or reconnect with someone without saying to ourselves, where's this person at in their journey? Why am I doing this? Then we don't realize what we're putting ourselves into, right? So if we start kind of asking ourselves, like, where is this person in their journey? And we can check out on their feed and it's really easy, the feed on Facebook, or just even through words on a text, you can feel where somebody's at. And what happens when you've taken your frequency up, which this, I know you do, is like frequency pulls from frequency. It's like magnetism again. It's like if you hold a high frequency, and like for me, for instance, if I go out anywhere, even to the grocery store, I'm getting drained. And I don't look at that as a victim stance. It's more like that's just how energy works.
They're recharging from your power bank, basically.
But they don't even know.
They unconsciously.
It's unknown to everybody, but when you become like that aware, you
feel
know it.
You feel
you see it, you feel it, you know it, like you just watch it happen. Like at the grocery store, I don't have to talk to anybody. Everyone in there, and the fact that the grocery store is unconscious in itself, is pulling at the frequency. And so what happens is you now have to go home and rebuild. You notice you'll go hang out with somebody and you'll get really tired the next day or later that night. It's out.
By design, the way that they've built the actual structures, it's not able to harmonically flow the energy. I noticed that when I go out certain places,
Faraday cages.
I'll have to recharge. But there's a river here where I live called Speed River, and just placing my feet in the river for not even an hour, but it's like if you've ever done what's it, NLP, neuro linguistic programming.
No.
It's refreshing. I got the same effects from neuro linguistic programming in nature, grounding my feet in this stream, and it was like my whole energy body was just refreshed and cleansed, and it felt purified. Like I could go out and things that used to trigger me, I can just walk and be around it and just observe and see everything for its beauty. It's amazing what the natural healing process, like water can destroy, but it can purify too.
Water is one of the biggest connection points. Yeah. So like for me, like a bath, you go into a bath, I have them all the time. You go into a bath, that's where you're gonna have a lot of connection. You're gonna open right up, right? But then you got to be like, what's the water I'm sitting in? But then at a certain point, you can't do anything about that. But it's still water, even though it's been tainted and whatever. And like, let's talk about a few things here. Actually, of what you just said is like the building itself will hold an energy, but it won't pull so much as the people. It's the humans. It's the living beings that are pulling. The only reason the other one's pulling is because we chose to go to it. It's not the actual building itself. But when it gets into people and humans, we want to be very aware when we're getting in higher frequency. Why are we choosing to be around anyone, right? So I don't even have friends anymore. I let go of the word because it's all attachment. And so humans were taught to have all kinds of friends. They were taught to like get married and like this whole facade that goes completely against what we're actually supposed to do here, which I don't want to ruin for anybody. Totally
validated, yeah,
100%. And validation is all ego, and like like marriage itself, the way it is like it's crazy these days. It doesn't make any sense at all. You're binding yourself to a soul forever, and they tell you till death do us part. But the whole thing is we're meant to drop in here and have experience with people. It doesn't mean you got to be with 100 people in your life. It just means like eventually you're going to meet like your soul partner, and you're going to destroy each other and pull everything out of each other. And it's not going to be what you were told marriage is, but marriage is this binding 3D linear thing that actually makes things worse. So it gets really interesting.
And that's the thing about the awakening process, because a lot of the stuff that I used to believe in is out the window now.
It's gone.
To the point where finding the right partner comes at the right time, but the whole wedding and a lot of people believe that you need to be in a church with a pastor or a priest and have documents when the marriage happens in spirit, right? So a
The
lot of these
binding
things,
is just a soul agreement.
but it's a soul agreement too, right?
Depending. So a lot of people choose their partner based on looks, and it's all superficial. So, we were programmed and conditioned so deeply that we need to find love. And as soon as somebody gives us some appreciation and whatever, they feel that's love, but that's not love at all. That's just a 3D game of craziness. It's got nothing to do with love, because most people don't love themselves and they don't know how to love themselves. And really, truly, you don't love yourself until you've gotten rid of your ego and gotten rid of all the traumas and stuff sitting inside, right? Because that's true self-love. But you've got a whole manipulated world that's been twisted to make everybody find love outside themselves, tell them they have to get married or something's wrong with them. Like, I know I thought something was wrong with me because I wasn't married with a kid yet at a certain age, and because I didn't get a degree from like college or university. But the thing I realized later, I was actually like so intelligent that I didn't do that, because I saved myself a whole whack of indoctrination and a whole bunch of experiences that I would have had to clear from my body. Because as you shared, and I shared earlier too, is like when I said I have to realize I knew nothing, it's because the whole world's manipulated. Like just like really sit with that for a second. Like, the whole world, everything we've ever been taught is manipulated and twisted and has been forever to keep us from awakening. And that's not a victim story, that's just the journey. But when we look at that, and then we look at how we, normally, like, you'd be guided inward, internally to people. And then, you've been with somebody and you've been like, it's time to go. But then we're all like, for me anyways, I'd be like, oh no, I don't want to break up, or like there's 50 trillion reasons, because you don't want to hurt the other person. Well, your soul's saying you're done that agreement now. You're done now, but we don't listen. And then we stay in it. And that's when we keep building all these experiences and all this trauma. So they taught us how to keep taking on trauma like nobody's business.
Made
Life
us
is
they
trauma.
made us addicted to trauma. Like some
There
people
you
are
go.
addicted
You
to
nailed it.
triggering themselves,
Right.
but their higher self is actually guiding them to show them, let's look at some shit here
Like, get out, go over
and
there, do
turn the
this.
shit into magic.
Right.
That's what the
You
higher
nailed it.
self is.
No, you're nailing it. So now let's stop with addiction. I don't believe in addiction because it's just a choice. And somebody will say it's not until the very end, when down the road they're ready to look at it. And I'm not calling anybody out,
It's
but
attachment at the end of the day.
it's attachment. That's all it is. And it's because usually it's based off of trauma and not dealing with trauma. So that's normally where 99% of everything comes from, is something traumatic happened in life. We become a victim to it, and we now need to self-medicate, or whatever words we need to use to not see that ever again. Right? So when we get into, though, when we can change it though for a second, not change it, but like we can go into the whole world. And another reason why a lot of people actually aren't moving forward into deeper into their ascension process, because the piece that I wanted to share about ascension, actually, like I just really was guided to share, is that many believe the ascension is just happening for people.
That it's just going to happen
It's
naturally
just
without
every
you
day.
having
It's
to
just, yeah.
do the inter it slow and steady, but without the
It's a
actual
big belief, right? It's a big, if you look out there, like a big belief is just that, ascension processes are happening for everybody, and da 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 da. And to a point, that is
unicorns,
true.
rainbows, and
Right.
fairy
Skittles
tales.
and rainbows, let's do this, love and light, yay. Right. And
Yeah,
it's all the fluffy, we call that the fluffy realms. It's
yeah.
just where everybody stays in fluff, because they don't want to go into this deeper stuff where we actually have to take responsibility for all of our choices, like literally go back into each, like I was sharing earlier. So we've got a bunch of people that are actually, and going back to that post that I mentioned of yours that I read,
The
sitting
waiting
in
room.
the ascension waiting room. That's only because people don't want to take the further journey, because they're not doing it.
They're
And
what are they waiting for?
but you nailed it a minute ago. Addiction to the outer world. It's the addiction to 3D. Like, you can't do this journey and keep going and getting your nails done and getting new shoes and feeding the convenience in the material world at all,
What's a
right?
waiting pool? Like in a pool, a waiting pool is the shallow
They're,
end. They
they're
haven't
waiting for
chose to
something,
go
and
into the deeper.
totally
Because once you go into the deep end, that's when you got to learn how to swim without
right.
having a life jacket or support.
Right. And so everything I'm sharing about taking responsibility and the deeper levels of healing, we can still call it healing, but it's just everybody has a different perception. That's why I got rid of it.
Yeah.
So now going into this deeper parts of resolving and taking responsibility, that means we actually don't just have to surface look at it. That means we've got to go in and get tested with it for a long time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like years worth of being tested at your lowest
Yeah.
so that your higher self can see, when you're your lowest, you care that much that you stop it and you break it down and dissolve it right there. And once you've done that enough, you catch it sooner and sooner. And like I showed the visual of like something emanating in your feet to get out your mouth, you catch it at your feet. You don't catch it like at your stomach. You don't catch it out your mouth. You catch it at your feet because you can do that if we are present enough and we choose to observe. We have
Aware
to,
of the
it's
awareness
awareness.
to
So you have to
change the
care though.
trajectory as soon as you are able to detect that
The
there's
instant.
distortion. Yeah.
The instant you feel a distortion, you
Yeah.
stop immediately and you shift the game.
Yeah.
You don't fall back into it because you're with brother Jimmy and brother Jimmy doesn't want you to be that way. You stop it immediately and you catch yourself and you say something out loud if you need to, or you walk away. There's no more playing in 3D. There's no more like, I need followers, so I'm going to share and regurgitate some of this stuff. That's what actually keeps people looping and stuff. And I'm
Oh,
not calling people out. I'm just sharing
the
like
way
a bigger
this
perspective.
social
Because
media, yeah, with
we've
the
been guided to do this on social media where I just notice almost everybody is regurgitating and nothing is coming from inside. And when you get AI involved, and AI is like picking off people that have ascended already or people that are actually truly talking about the real deal, or me, I realized I can't share that much on social media because it just picks it off and takes it. And then you've got somebody
what do
typing
you
in blah, blah, blah.
what do you
And
mean
because
it picks it off and takes it?
AI just sucks up everything that gets written into the freaking internet.
Yes.
Right? And then somebody can go in and type in like, because spirituality uses a lot of the same words as I will use in higher consciousness, but they have completely different meanings.
Uh-huh.
So, which is why I'm sharing like healing is a completely different process than it is down in the lower realms, right? But somebody can type in something and it could have taken in some information from me or somebody else who's ascended, and now this person who doesn't know what they're talking about at all has now got AI and they're sharing this whole thing, this whole article, like they know what they're talking about, and they're getting all these followers, but they can't guide anybody and they can't facilitate if somebody asks them a question. Like how does that benefit?
I've wondered that the actual ascended masters, they're
Yeah.
not sitting on Facebook interacting with their followers every single
No,
day, are they?
no, not at all. And you're not,
No.
you're like, if you go onto my social media, like on my, it's the same as what I post mostly on my website. But if you check out my social media after on Facebook, because I just got back on it a year ago, everything I share is a profound guidance and the higher path. Every single thing, or I'm sharing like something beautiful that activated my heart, like rainbows and like beautiful flowers in the background. You won't find anything regurgitated. You won't find anything. If somebody comments, I'm in there and I'll speak to their comment with guidance or anything because, or just love. And the only other thing I do on social media, which I'm slowing off on now, is because so many people are just all over the place right now and they're in this dark night process where they're just think they know everything, is I was giving a lot of guidance through comments in certain groups, like conscious groups.
Mhm.
And I got guided to specific ones, and I still do once in a while. It's really lovely. But, there's a point where people just don't want the higher journey. And that's what I've actually noticed. Like I'll always give a higher perspective, just shared as, this is just me sharing from my own personal journey and whatever. And the human ego mind doesn't want to let go of what it thinks it knows to even open up to receiving something. And then I'll get a bunch that do receive, and they're like, wow, this is what I've been seeing for a while. Like, so you can see who resonates and who's where and who's what. And you can with anybody's words. Like as soon as somebody starts talking, they've already shown me a whole everything. Like
Yeah,
everything comes through words.
as soon as they open their mouth.
As soon as even well, I mean, you always feel
Couple
frequency
seconds.
before that, but as
Yeah.
soon as somebody starts talking, each word holds energy, and it shows me a story, and it's like you can feel what somebody holds and what's going on as soon as they start to talk. There's no way around it at this point. Like
Because
once you're prepared.
they show you their character is the caring actor. How they act tells you
Well, it's beyond that even because
their
because people
beliefs.
act a lot, right? Humanity are just a
They
bunch of
act.
actors, and they
Yeah.
don't realize.
So
So
that's what I'm
that's why
saying. Their how they act will actually show you their character because words are just words. but
Well, see, the words are what show me more than the way they act. I don't look at how anybody acts. It's almost like I don't even see them anymore when they start to talk. I just hear
w-
the words, and the words open up frequencies, and through feeling, it shows me a whole whack about them.
because the vibrations, what you're saying, you pick up
Right.
more from what they say than from what they show you.
Exactly, because anybody can show you anything. And so what happens is yes, it's the frequency and all that, but it's beyond that. It's kind of like, and you talk about words a lot, right? So it's about words. Someone who cares and is aligned and is truly aligned won't fall apart. And if they do, you hear a word here and there, you hear another word, then you'll hear a really derogatory word, and then there's a judgment, and then there's this and that, and you can just see the frequency that they hold. There's zero judgment to it. It just shows you where they're aligned at, because you wouldn't use certain words through past a certain point, because it's, or you'd feel the frequency of that word. So I can swear, and you won't catch any frequency off me other than just smile. You'll smile because I hold nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like we could swear our faces off, and you just laugh because I don't hold nothing. Like, so there's no attachment, there's no physical frequency, there's no emotion behind that. There's no emotion,
Interesting, because words show people our own worth.
yeah,
Words and worth. It's it's
yeah.
it's very similar, right?
Which gets interesting too, because you just opened something up. Also, was like someone could write a speech and be very good at like articulating something they wrote. Because sometimes when we take time to write, we kind of pull away and we do really beautiful. I know I write and I'm way more beautiful than when I talk. And it's so articulated, and you can pull out all the bad words because you got time, and you be like, oh, that doesn't really work good there. And someone can regurgitate that really well. Some people are really good at regurgitating something like that, but the frequency will still show me that they're out of alignment.
I've noticed that when I'm trying to uh, parrot what other people have said, it doesn't come out as authentic because this is a quote that I came up with one day. How can you attract authenticity if you are pumping out a distorted frequency?
Totally.
You can't.
100%, right? Because you're not in them. You're not them. And so when we're resharing other people, we either reshare and say, like, with gratitude to something like this, and give someone the link in the way, or when we regurgitate your higher self saying, well, that's not yours.
Yeah. It's
And
you
and if
borrow
it's meant to be
someone
yours, then
else.
you'll go through a process to take it and make it yours, and you'll dive deep and you'll have it come through you. And
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I get my when I'm speaking, having conversations like this, it's when my creativity flows. But if I actually sit down to write, it just doesn't come as easily.
well, it's because you're not
Right?
embodied yet.
Yeah, exactly.
The more embodied you become, like, put it this way, I couldn't write before. Honestly, I've written 2 books. I've written a guidebook that's like 150 pages, like massive. It's like you'd be blown away. And the articles I write all the time, they're like long. They're like a 10, 20-minute read, some of them. I literally can articulate so beautifully, and the more conscious I got, the more it just emanates out of you. Just become like everything. Like, and I'm not even there yet. Like, I'm only like coming into like eighth dimensional embodiment. There's still like another 4 dimensions to go where you open like grand master consciousness and stuff like that. And then it goes beyond the physical 12 dimensions, and it goes into like way more.
Mhm.
But like, we've got so much inside of us to open up and unlock that it's ridiculous.
And so I want to run this idea by you. There's a vision that came to me, and there's when people start awakening, especially in my own journey,
Yeah.
there's the old self, and then there's the future self, if we're looking at it in a linear time sense, right?
Yeah.
And I have different aspects to my personality. So uh, there's certain there's certain leaders that hold events like consciousness events to train and help people elevate and stuff like that. In this new earth, would you say that's going to be an effective tool? Having big events where people that have reached certain levels of consciousness can teach from the world stage. Would you say that would help significantly increase and speed up the timelines for the collective?
Let's just say take time out of it, and speeding things up isn't going to matter because it all gets to an inflection point where everything just gets forced kind of through. And when it then comes into is deprogramming centers.
De-
Because every, so let's put it this
deprogram.
way. Let's put it this way. The whole world could collapse tomorrow. Every single system could break down in front of everybody's face. Every single lie could become as truth and it was proven so that nobody could refute it. And now every single human, even if they've just awakened or even beyond, are still living as ego. They're still separate. They're still living as separation and they have no clue. So what happens moving forward?
Yeah. I just wasn't sure what happened. You were frozen there, so I sent you
I know you were
a
too.
quick little message. I didn't want to end it because I've had that in the past before, and it just as I was
I was just messing with us.
waiting for it to the timing was perfect too, because what you were
Yeah.
talking about, and then it's just like
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, where did I end off for you? Do you remember?
Let's just pick up wherever.
So I was
Uh,
basically saying like I feel like I remember is because you were talking about big gatherings and stuff like that, and then I was mentioning like
the
how
collective, where things are moving to.
yeah, and I mentioned like how everything could collapse tomorrow and everything, but that the human would still be the embodiment of separation. And from that moment forward, the world has changed, but the human hasn't changed, and they now live in all this manipulation.
Yeah.
Right. And so if everything we've been taught since birth is manipulated for like for eons on purpose, because that's the point of our journey is separation, then now we need deprogramming centers to deprogram people. Whereas when you get into, I don't know if you heard this part, but when you get into having big gatherings to share healing or whatever modalities, that's most that I've seen aren't rooted in an embodied state or from an embodied state. It's either
That's
regurgitated from past text or it's but now let's go back to 2012. The ascension portals open, so nobody could physically ascend, so nobody had made it there yet. So if that's the case, and most of the ones that are showing that stuff have been doing this for 30 years but haven't got to the ascension point yet, then it just ends up becoming more regurgitation of 3 and 4, not 3D, but 4D into the higher, because 4D is very spread out. There's a lot of different pieces to it, right? There's the pre-ascension and pre-ego, pre-ascension, and then it gets into the later phases get into, and that's why I speak to later phases of awakening is when the ego part begins.
mhm.
And that's when the judgment and the dark nights of the soul start coming in and all this craziness and people don't realize it's the ego. So if we're doing big gatherings, as long as it's fully aligned and it's coming from an embodied state of being,
Okay.
that is epic. But I don't see much of that going on out there. I just see a lot of money making, and I see a lot of people sharing systems that actually don't take you into consciousness. They keep you
Yes.
in a belief system.
This is what I've noticed because I had a vision near Corona. I woke up fast. I was on pharmaceutical medication, programmed with religion, and a lot of layers that I had to work through. And it was just like, it was a lot to take on. But I took a look around, a lot didn't make sense. So I spent a couple of years just doing nonstop research. I went mad, went crazy for a bit, and then came back.
It happens. Happens to the best of us.
Part of the process. So I took a look at things that existed already, and I didn't see anything that existed yet. Like I envisioned. All of the consciousness and all this, because I look at everything with like a fine-tooth comb. I go deep
Yep.
beneath
Yeah,
the
you do.
surface,
Yes.
deep beneath the surface,
Yep.
to the point where it can get very lonely sometimes because
Yep.
I know from my own energy that I'm here to help awaken the ones that are asleep, either through sharp questioning or just my presence alone.
Yep.
So I started looking for people that already had skills in the energy and the tools and the experience. And that's
Yep.
something that I've envisioned is having these events that can teach people like a full spectrum service for humanity. Because I wrestled with that for a while with past life identities and whatnot and attachments. And something shifted today. Uh, the energy's just completely shifted where it's like a whole new reality because money is not evil in and of itself. Money can be used to do a lot of good. Money was
100%.
created as a limitation because it
Totally.
connected to, they call the root chakra the Muladhara, Mula as in money,
Moolah.
right?
I like that. Good
Mula, mula, mula,
connection. Yeah, I
currency,
love
right?
that.
So
I
they
love using the
created it
words. Yeah, yeah.
as a disconnect.
Yeah.
But then I wondered more about, okay, because there was a split happening within me in my internal world. I was doing so much work, but it didn't feel like I was seeing the effects. And then I saw two shooting stars 2 nights in a row, and all these spiritual messengers, all these guidances that are happening. And it's like you were saying at the beginning about astrology, right? It sets the stage, but we don't have to be so connected to it.
It becomes linear.
We can detach from it
Totally.
because when we have power over our own energy instead of outside events creating our reality, then
Totally.
that's when mastery steps in. So I don't see money. I used to see it as like, because most of my life I hadn't had a lot. I've lived with a lot of lack because there was internal stuff.
Me too. Yeah.
Then I came across a quote that says, if your path takes longer, it just means that the moves are going to be forever legendary. An authentic
You,
path takes
that's your
longer
guidance.
to progress. So
Totally. And it
I've
becomes the guidance for everybody else, right? So the harder you
yeah.
go through your journey, the more you have to relate with other people as they come through. And because that's when people get guided to you, it's not because they don't know you. They get guided to you magnetically because you've experienced the similar experiences.
And I
And you're now
attract,
going to be able to take them through that. Right? Like I was on meds for like 20 years and I can deconstruct that whole system to dust and just blow it away as a complete farce.
yeah, like you have to go into the system, into the
You've
lion's
got
den
to,
to know how the
you've got to.
intricacies operate, how their mind games work. Like there's a book called The Mind's Back Door, and about 1% of the population actually knows how the mind has a back door, a subconscious. It's like planting subconscious seeds, and most people don't realize that they're actually being manipulated every single day subconsciously to buy
Every
stuff
second.
that they don't need, to make decisions that they don't want to do.
To
I've
believe
noticed it.
things they don't want to believe or they don't need to believe. Totally. That and that's
Yeah.
why we're here. That's why we're at this point of awakening because it's been going on forever. Way
And
before TV, man.
do you ever feel like it's, I heard recently that you got to be careful how you speak, right?
Yeah.
Care. And nothing is too big for the universe. So when you
No.
say things like, it's a lot of responsibility or it's a huge mission, it creates pressure and a burden, right?
Yeah.
So,
Only in perception. Because once you shift that and you change those words, like power used to be like I used to think power was like presidents and money and all that. And I got guided to see that power was inner power. It's called taking your power back. It's called being powerful and wanting to change everything. That's power, right? So it's the manipulation of words because but I see how when I say those words you just said and I say them to other people, I can see where they
that's
go
why
down.
perception is
Yeah, it's all
so
perception.
important. When we're aware of how other people perceive us,
Right.
that's power.
See, that's the shift is perception. Like everything I come back to say, everybody, like basically what I come back with everybody to say anything is everything's a choice. That was your choice. So you created that, or that's just your perception. That it's just a perception. And it's all, I don't go on and say it's, you took it on for manipulation. Most people don't want to get all that. So, but inside it's kind of like everything's a perception based on the manipulated way we took everything in. Like
Yeah.
everybody took everything in a little differently too. Like we might have all taken the same school, taken the same books, read like taken in the same indoctrination, but we'll all carry it a little bit differently in what we believe, how we believe it. And that's what makes everybody so unique. And that's why it's so interesting,
So,
right?
yeah. The
Right. But
word the
yeah,
word care is in carry. A friend of mine, Carrie Stone, he's the one that like really got me to unlock my abilities. Just he got me off medication. He told
nice.
me about full extract cannabis oil, which like supercharges the brain's capacity to heal and form new neurons and completely rewire itself. But he cares so much, and I know from my own journey that caring can get us into trouble. If we care too much, especially being empathic, because sometimes you got to stand back and let karma unfold
Right. So
for
care
people.
care shifts too. So the word care, if you look at the perception of care, so everything's been taught into us completely twisted. So care doesn't become like when you care for other people. So gets really interesting. When we care for other people, there's a love care, and then the truth of understanding that everybody's making the exact choice they need to make.
The
And
the
there's
inner
nothing that
the
you can change
inner
about that.
the inner caring compass.
Right. So there's a part of care that goes into almost victim because we've been conditioned to care differently than what consciousness is. So like it gets very, very dynamic. Like every single word we've ever been given has been twisted a little bit or a lot.
Because the original definition is completely opposite of what the modern one is. But when we throw definitions out the window and just receive the intention and the vibrational
The feeling of it.
frequency and the
Right.
feeling of it and the receptibility, and we know people's authenticity, it becomes so much easier because we don't have to ask them, was this your intention? Is this what you meant? What definition are you using? We don't have to dissect or discern anything at that point. It just becomes awareness of the intent of that energy and the purpose of
Totally, right?
the vision.
And it goes back to us realizing, not everyone, people don't all know this because we've been manipulated away from it, but like when we realized like we dropped our consciousness to come here and experience everything individually as a collective, but very uniquely on purpose, because then we'll all come back with all these different uniquenesses to share and how we all went through it. And then we'll all relate as people are waking up and we've come ahead, we'll all relate with so many different people that have gone through all these things. And there's a bunch of different ones of us that have related or experienced different things. So it's like care to me is looking at someone and having care and love for whatever choice they make.
Accepting
Because you have to, yes, it's
everything,
acceptance.
everything that they are,
Have you ever noticed when people they say, I'm trying to awaken people and they like get in their face and they try and tell them stuff that the person resists and runs away?
because they're not seeing the whole
It's
picture.
ego.
They're trying to force knowledge upon someone that's not ready to receive it, and then it
Right. And
creates
it's their choice.
resistance.
Right. And it's their
Yeah,
choice. So
yeah.
some people weren't meant to awaken. Well, we all did. And that's where people get interesting too, where I see a lot of people saying, oh, they need to be taken off the planet or they're just holding us back. I see lots of derogatory talk about people that aren't awake. The reality is the switch got flipped for everybody, and we have the conscious choice to avoid. That is free will choice. Nobody can take I want to avoid away. And that human might not know they're avoiding because they've done it so much that it's so programmed in them that they don't even see it. But sometimes their journey, because a lot of our lives are pre-planned, like death is not an accident. Nothing's an accident, right? So if somebody's not awake till the very last minute, that was their journey. That's the journey they were supposed to have. That's the journey they chose to have. And nobody can change that. So you'll notice the harder somebody pushes, the more somebody runs. Because ego pushes and says, I know this. And people aren't, even if they're not conscious at all, they're not receptive to that. When somebody tells me, you got to go watch this movie, I actually am like, whoa, like, why are you being so
That
pushy?
because
You know what I mean?
you have mastered your emotions. A lot of people get influenced because they're out of alignment,
Yeah.
and that's why people you can tell, you can sense it, right? When people have done the inner work and when they
Yeah.
haven't, right?
But everybody ends up
Based on
slipping,
how
right?
influential. Slips always
Everybody
slip.
ends up slipping, right? So that means they're not embodied. So to me, it's just kind of 3D. 3D is kind of like everybody's kind of being pushed into 4D who was ultimately 3D at one point. They're now getting pushed into 4D where they have to start to feel. And 4D is like the emotional realms. 3D is completely unconscious. 4D is the emotional realms and where everybody starts to do something. Mid 4D is where everybody starts to do something with themselves and actually start to like care more.
Yeah.
And that's usually the love and light phase, Skittles and rainbows. And a lot of people just get stuck there because it's comfortable and it's beautiful. And nobody has to get too deep. Nothing has to get too deep. And you still get to have your convenience and you still get to go to the movies and do all those things. Like you won't see me at a movie, man. You won't see me going sitting like around a bunch of people. Like it's just it's like we talked about earlier. The energy just kind of pulls. But I don't know where we were going with that. I just started going off. We were talking about
Like a river and streams gotta go with the flow.
you got to go with the flow,
Gotta
right?
go
But
with
it's
the
like
flow. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like the emotion. Emotion, actually, you said a word emotion. And emotion is what attaches and brings everybody back into the darkness. Like you want to call it darkness, we'll just call it lower vibrations, lower frequency, right? And that attraction that everybody has, or that like love for emotion, like people have been taught and we've been taught and conditioned to be so emotional about everything. But emotions are part of the ego. Remember, I was sharing that earlier. Like you can't be sad, mad, and angry about something if it's perfect and it's supposed to be that way. You can be, it's a choice. But if we're
People
if
get
we're
emotional about things because they have a predisposition to it based on their belief systems.
and being and watching others, that's like I said, when you're a kid and you see somebody react to something, or yell at somebody for something, you take that on now, and like maybe as you get older, you say, well, I don't want to be like that. You can feel that it doesn't feel good, but for the most part, everybody's taking on that's conditioning. So they condition through many different ways, like not just TV and books.
Mhm.
Like conditioning is just very visual, right? Like I have a fears that my mom had. I didn't eat berries that my mom didn't eat because, and then I found out like I'm like almost 50, and I just found out that my mom didn't eat raspberries, and I was like, is that why I never ate raspberries? And I realized like, yeah, I ate them, and I was like, I love them, like bananas. Like we just didn't have a lot of fruit, and I came in and became this thing, but it was like I programmed myself. And that's why I said we need deprogramming centers because everybody needs to deprogram from all their crap, not realizing it's all been twisted and manipulated either from taking everything in or on. But you get into emotions, and like we took on emotion from everybody, but now it's TV. TV and movies and emotion is insane. Like it's everything. Everybody's emotional. Everybody's a victim to something. Everybody's being cheated on, or like it's always these
Because
victim stories.
that's where the word television comes from. They're telling you the vision that you should be seeing. It
Exactly.
completely disconnects people from embodying their own frequency when they're
Yeah.
basing it upon other people's how can someone tell you, like, even psychics, they can show you, but they can't actually tell you how it's all going to play out. They can like say certain things that they see, but they also have to be very careful what they do say because
Yeah.
it'll leave an imprint, especially when they realize how powerful they are and
Well,
influential.
so that gets interesting because the psychics aren't fully embodied yet. They haven't released their ego, so everything gets filtered through the ego and the fears and their own stuff that they still hold. And so when you get into an embodied state, like when you get in and become the field and you literally merge with your higher self, you can see the future, but it's not tainted, right? So I can actually tell somebody their future, and it doesn't change anything for them. I give it to it, so I give them to them so clear with nothing in the way that I'm like, you're going to have this choice, and this choice. Which choice are you going to make in that moment? It doesn't shift anything for them.
It's how you phrase it, though, which is why I'm
It's
saying
but
words
that's
matter.
embodiment,
Words
right? So
matter.
that's where we go back to, like there's a big imbalance in this conscious community where conscious and spirituality don't even mix together. Like spirituality becomes a bunch of belief systems, and I'm not putting it down. I was into it forever, and it comes a bunch of modalities, but those don't bring you through your ascension. Ascension is the actual, it's intentionally going in every single day, every single moment to deal with every single thing that's coming up that's not aligned. Anything that doesn't feel good is being taken care of in the moment because we care, right? So that's where care comes in. But that's where everything shifts. And the imbalance is where a lot of the stuff from the past, like I was sharing, like the ascension portals didn't open until 2012. So if that's possible, then who was really embodied in the ancient past a certain point? Do you know what I mean? And a lot weren't actually fully embodied in the state that is talked about. So like they were very high up, but in that realm, that was almost as high as you could go,
And who actually holds it and carries the
where
frequency?
you don't move.
Because we are not our emotions.
Right. We're
And
attached to our emotions.
when people speak, most people say, I am angry or I am sad, but they are not those things. They
They're
are
owning it.
temporarily
Yeah.
connected to that energy, but they
Yeah.
are not that energy. It's
Right.
just a moment in time. But
Yeah. And they
it does not define.
no, but they're conditioned to hold it and to sit in it. You ever see like people are like they're so angry and it can be like for a week and I if they wanted to talk to me, I'd just be like, but you're choosing to be angry.
I've
Like
had that before where
it's just a
I
choice.
snapped out of it. I'm like, why am I doing this to
Right.
myself? I have
Because
the
you had
choice
enough.
to change. I've had
Yeah.
enough.
Because
I'm just
you
like,
have enough of
I don't
yourself and
need,
you're like,
it's self-wallowing in pity is what it
it's
is.
a choice to live in pain and suffering. But humans love
Literally.
pain and suffering. I loved it. I was like, until I didn't, but I didn't, until you observe yourself very clearly, you don't realize that's what you're doing.
But there's
And
so
then it
much
becomes
wisdom
like,
to be learned in that. I purposely put myself in crazy situations where
oh, yeah.
sometimes, like, I remember this one acid trip. I got rid of my glasses, my phone, my wall, my belt, my watch, because in my mind, I'm like, I don't need any of those things. I can use my mind to create it because I was looking at the tree and my emotion, just smiling, was like changing the colors until I'm lying there on my back. I can't see. I have no idea what time it is. And because yeah, I looked at my watch and I was able to turn it into a Rolex. So, but then a security guard's coming around back. I'm lying there. I'm like freaking out because I had a bad batch of cartoon acid. Didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
realize until like last year that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tainted, seeing red dots, and freaking out. Like my nervous system's all over the place because I thought I could do anything. I was questioning, who am I? Why are my
Yeah.
parents my parents? Who is God? Who made me? Why am I in this body? I was at that level where I'm just like, I thought I was an ascended master and I can do all this stuff. That's where it gets dangerous, but there's a purpose for all those psychedelics because it shows you
The
the
possibilities.
possibilities in what the what we can actually achieve when you actually believe that
Totally.
you can do it.
Well, because
But
what we
it's
believe,
all
we receive,
perception.
right?
It's
To
all
make it
perception.
simple, like when somebody believes something, that's their reality. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be like that. That's why there's a lot of interesting things going on in the world where people believe there's something else, and they're like, you can believe whatever you want. That's your thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
doesn't make it real, right? Everything's just very interesting, but the world's not super cut and dry. But our beliefs are what shape our reality, and that's what gives us our experiences.